Oh, what are we doing? We're going to talk to Jeffrey Tucker, founder and president of Brownstone Institute. He's been on fire lately, and he wants to report on multiple things. Vinay Prasad pushed out of the FDA, and as well as some evidence that perhaps it is the pharma company, the judiciary, that's in charge of your health, not you or the government or elected officials. Then Gino Young and Vashon Tunkel, they are activists in Chicago, talk about how we're going to save Chicago. I saw Vashon in front of a city council meeting where he was, again, on fire. And then Autumn Smith, the co-founder of Paleo Valley, the company, of course, we are very excited about. She joins me in the studio, and we're going to talk about some of the new products, some of the new ideas. Autumn Smith actually made the trek to Pasadena, has come and joining us right here and very shortly. So we will start out with Jeffrey Tucker, who's on the road, but we got him nevertheless. We'll be with him right after this.
Our laws, as it pertains to substances, are draconian and bizarre. The psychopaths start this way. He was an alcoholic because of social media and pornography, PTSD, love addiction, fentanyl and heroin. Ridiculous. I'm a doctor, for sake. Where the hell do you think I learned that? I'm just saying, you go to treatment before you kill people. I am a clinician. I observe things about these chemicals. Let's just deal with what's real. We used to get these calls on Loveline all the time. Educate adolescents and to prevent and to treat. If you have trouble you can't stop and you want to help stop it, I can help. I got a lot to say. I got a lot more to say.
Jeffrey Tucker from Brownstone X. He is Jeffrey Tucker, also jeffreytucker.me, and the Life After Lockdown and Liberty or Lockdown books, as well as all his contributions over at Brownstone. A lot to talk about. Jeffrey, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, sorry about the unfortunate circumstances. I find myself on the road, but hope this works.
All right, it's working great. We love that you're here nevertheless. I got so many things to talk about. I'm just going to kind of roll along here. Tell me about that poll that seemed to be so distorted versus the Brownstone poll.
The Fabrizio in December and January had conducted some polls with absurdly fake results. They asked questions like, agree or disagree, vaccines save lives. And, oh, what a shock, 90% said they saved lives, which is an impossible claim to refute. In 225 years of vaccines, have they saved lives? Yeah, I mean, you have to be an idiot. That's like saying, do socks keep your feet warm in winter? This is not a serious question. This is the kind of poll they were conducting from which Fabrizio concluded that vaccine skepticism is bad politics and broadcast that message to the White House. It took us a couple of months to figure out what was going on, and finally we just decided to conduct our own poll with Jeremy Zogby. We asked 30 reasonable, objective questions about medical freedom, vaccine mandates, the COVID response, everything you can think of, and the polls right there on Brownstone. You can look at it, and it turns out we have supermajorities in every area that favor medical freedom, and this is from Republicans, Democrats, and consensus, and it's a very intense consensus. So, this is my first poll I've ever done. I've never seen polling before. I didn't even know how polling worked. Well, I'm sorry it was left to us and the Health Freedom Defense to do this, but we did it. And I think it should have been bigger news than it is. But, I can't get the New York Times to report on it, even though I sent it to them. This is a problem, Dr. Drew. Everything is kind of rigged. And people need to know. It's not the objective poll. Now we've got the news media reporting the answers. The poll was constructed to do exactly what it did, which was to marginalize the medical freedom movement and to push aside all the concerns that people have about these mandates and everything that happened in the COVID period and say it's bad politics, you need to drop it. You get how it works, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, everything is a hoax. Now, the other thing that so many things caught my attention this weekend. You did a long history of the COVID lockdowns. You also did a history of the vaccine and vaccine mandates. And then we had this judicial activism on behalf of the pharmaceutical industry, it seemed. And I noticed that sent you reeling the last day or so. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, this is extremely important. I'm sure you saw it. It came out yesterday, late yesterday afternoon. A judge in Massachusetts, the federal district judge, just basically silenced the committee that Kennedy had put together, and against their meeting for next week. And you know
Hey,
what?
Jeffrey,
next week.
Jeffrey, I'm interrupting. Let me interrupt you. Go ahead and turn your camera off for a second. Just turn it off and leave your audio. I think we'll get better audio that way. We only got a little bit of what you said. It was extremely important because.
Yeah. Okay. So can you hear me now? Okay. Is that better?
Yeah, much better. Yeah.
Okay, good. So this federal district judge in Massachusetts basically gagged the ACIP committee that Bobby had put together. It's the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices that was scheduled to meet next week to talk about the safety or lack thereof, and therefore vaccine injury from the COVID shots. That was on the docket for next week. Now the meeting has been stopped by a federal judge. The case was the American Association of Pediatrics, American Association of Pediatrics, right?
Academy.
Which
Academy.
you can go to their website and see that they are funded by it's a pharmaceutical front, basically. There's like 8 top pharmaceutical funds that fund the AAP. So this judgment was rendered on behalf of Big Pharma against the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices.
Hey, Jeffrey, what I smell here is a professional society trying to defend the structure of reimbursement for their members, for their specialty members. So pediatrics are incentivized to give vaccines. They get a lot of revenue from that. And I believe in addition to it being obviously funded by pharma and therefore the wind's blowing wind into the sails of the American Academy of Pediatrics, ultimately they are there defending the revenue of pediatricians.
Yeah, it's all about the money. You know, as people say, follow the money and you'll figure out what's going on. What's important from another point of view too is the American Academy of whatever it is. Am I saying that right? Of Pediatrics, AAP. Has since 2018 been the primary defender of childhood gender transitions, right? Or also called child mutilation, right? And so on their website now, they have a position paper that defends this. Now, one thing about these gender transitions, you know for sure, is it makes you a lifetime addict of pharmaceutical products. I mean, gender transitions in a biological sense and pharmaceutical industry are one and the same. I mean, you can't have one without the other, essentially. So here's the AAP, pediatrics, but you know they're defending the very thing that the Trump administration has been trying, and many states have tried to ban. AAP is all in favor. So now you've got the AAP basically ruling in a judicial sense against the will of the people, against legions of scientific experts, silencing all the medical scientists and experts on the new ACIP committee, which is unique. This committee is unique because it's absent of any conflicts of interest, right? Bobby put together this committee based on trying to find people who are both experts and not conflicted, which is extremely difficult, as you might imagine.
Yes, it is.
And he did it. And now they're focused on vaccine injury. And now a federal district judge has basically passed a nationwide, and what amounts to a nationwide injunction to ban it, which contradicts the Supreme Court's own ruling on past judgments made by this same judge that struck it down. So we're in a very awkward position right now, where this ruling is definitely going to be overthrown. There's no question about it. It's just a matter of time And during that time, the ACIP committee will not be able to meet to defend the children of this country against a parasitical pharmaceutical industry that wants them jabbed with 72 shots or whatever it is they're pushing these days. So that's where we are. And I told the Associated Press today that there's a way in which I'm actually sort of glad for this ruling for the following reasons. It makes the battle lines very clear. And it explains to people who care about these issues that now is the time for moral courage, strategic intelligence, and for a redoubling of efforts on behalf of medical freedom. So I think this is what's important about this moment.
And I want to bring up one other topic in the little time we have together is Vinay Prasad, who to me is one of the most clairvoyant readers of medical research I've ever encountered. I used to listen to his podcast years before COVID hit because he just made so much. He was able to penetrate, the way some people can penetrate materials, he could penetrate medical research, particularly complex oncological research. And when he went to I think it was the FDA, I thought, wow, it's an asset. But now he's been pushed out too. What happened there?
Well, you're right about him. He's a genius. Having him at the FDA was brilliant. He's gold. He's a true scientist. He adheres to the data. He looks at the numbers. He knows how to interpret the studies. And so now we have an objective scientist in a high position at the FDA, right? And of course, wouldn't you know, that bumped into industry priorities. And so he was frustrated and ultimately pushed out, which is a real tragedy. The FDA has got to figure out if it's serving the cause of science and safety and efficacy, or it's just serving industry. That has yet to be resolved. In fact, you could argue it's never been resolved. But this is a genuine loss, a profound loss to the FDA.
I agree. Although I wonder if he has some strategy once he gets on the other side. Has he been talking yet? Has he been discussing his experience or what he plans next?
I don't know about that, and I've not really been in contact with him. But I tell you what, we really need a kind of external brain trust, Dr. Drew, with genuine scientists to evaluate these drugs to figure out if this is just an industry racket or if it's really serving the American people. This is a major problem, and it's got to be resolved. And I think Vinay is going to be essential to that effort. So I'm looking forward to things settling down a little bit, and so that he finds his voice again, so that he can inform us about what's actually going on at the FDA, what he saw, and what we should do about it.
What's up at Brownstone?
Oh gosh, we had that poll. We've got a new report coming out in the next couple of days, which is an off-ramp for all nations of the world to get out of the World Health Organization. It's written by about 12 top public health professionals around the world. It's going to be a major report. I think it's going to be used in many nations of the world to finally throw off the yoke of this CCP pharma racket. Just to put it in ways the authors wouldn't put it. But we'll be releasing that in the next couple of days. I'll send you an advanced copy as soon as I can, Dr. Drew. I think you're really going to like it. It's highly intelligent and very important.
I'm all in. And, I heard somebody speaking the other day, and I wish I could remember who it was. And he said, what is wrong with this? Something is terribly wrong with our public health system. And I thought, oh my God, it was somebody important too. And I thought, my God, somebody's saying this out loud finally. What can we do to sort of, I don't even know where to start with public health, but there's something, we've got to do something to at least deal with this little wrinkle in the Constitution that gives public health fiat authority in an emergency.
These are huge questions, and they're very prescient right now. Now we're coming out of this COVID period. I'm bothered by the fact we've not really had any kind of serious reckoning. So I worked with CHD and many other organizations to put up a website called covidjustice.org. You've probably seen it. In fact, you might have signed it already. It's an extremely important statement that we think every sitting politician, whether it's federal government, states, or local, or any citizen, ought to be willing to sign just to say this was wrong, this is abusive, nothing like this should ever happen again. We desperately need reforms to make sure this is true. And until we get something like this passed, or at least getting 100,000 signatures or somebody like that, we're all vulnerable to a repeat of the same thing. So we cannot let this moment just go by and pretend like this didn't happen to us. So this is at least something that people can do. That was the driving purpose of putting up the site, was like, here's something you can do. We have 32 or 33,000 signatures so far. It's in any case, Dr. Drew, we all felt powerless during the COVID period, the lockdowns, the mandates. As citizens, we have to take back power for ourselves and make our voices be heard somehow. And I don't exactly know how that is, but this is at least a step in that direction.
Yeah, sovereignty of the people is something that I think I told you I started hearing in France, and I'm like, oh my God, that is absolutely the focus. People are sovereign, period.
Yeah.
And we have completely lost track of that with the fraud and the COVID and now did you get anything out of the Epstein? This is my last question. Anything out of the Epstein files that enlightened you about what they were percolating behind the scenes, or at very minimum, a culture that had already been so deeply established that was set up to perpetrate what they did?
Well, there's so many files that it's hard to make sense out of a lot of the connections. But the thing that bothered me most was this presumption that there's an elite class that's going to decide everything for us. And they all just meet in secret with clever emails back and forth. Ha, 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 this, that. I mean, this is a culture that it's not consistent with who we are as a nation, how we should aspire to live in a democratic society that Alexis de Tocqueville laid out and explained to us. This is not the world we want to live in, and I don't like it. If we do anything with the rest of our lives, we need to get rid of that sort of nudge, nudge, wink, wink, cloak and dagger, elite class, ruling class control, and give people back their power that they should have in a free society. That's what I came. The files just made me angry. I thought, I just hate all these people. that was my takeaway.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep your eye on Sayer G's threads on X.
Good.
He's doing a really good job of penetrating and looking at this stuff. And so I to me, he's sort of brought so much stuff to light where there've been, so now, since we first met, to me, there've really been three sort of major, curtain, the episodes of the curtain being pulled back. And as we said, Jeffrey said to me before the mics heated up, and he said, yeah, but there's many more curtains. It's like the opening of Get Smart. For those of you who can remember what Get Smart, what television show was, it's just a series of doors after doors after doors that he's walking through. And why did I bring this up?
Well, it's just, that's a description of our lives.
The three for me.
Days. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. The three big ones for me. COVID was a big one, and that had sort of multiple doors in it. The fraud investigations, I guess, sort of in a way, Elon Musk group was part of that too, but ultimately the fraud lately has been just stunning. And then finally the Epstein files. Each of these are like these, oh my God, I had no idea the world I was living in, it turns out.
Dr. I want to add one other point here that I think would be important to you and your listeners. Bobby Kennedy embarked on this reform effort with a great deal of earnestness. The assumption was, if we can show the data, we get good scientists, we can make our case, we'll use the system and reform it in a way that serves the people. That was the idea. Okay, you can say that's very naive, but that's what he believes going into it. Well, now we see that they're greeting this buzzsaw of industrial power that is beyond anything I think anybody imagined to be the nature of reality 6 years ago. We didn't know. I certainly didn't know. And now I'm just awestruck at just the reach of the pharmaceutical companies and the way they've embedded themselves in academia and in the journals and in the science and in the agencies and deeply into our lives, at the retail level. And I didn't know this. I didn't know that's the way the world worked. I think it's worked this way for a lot of decades, but nobody ever told me. So, I think what RFK is doing with his other associates and friends and other agencies is very wonderful and very sweet and very earnest. And they're confronting a cynical and dark and dangerous machine that does not play fair. They don't care about the rules. They're very practiced at using every tool they have to thwart any kind of reforms. And it's frustrating because, our side are, just sweet, naive, nice people trying to unite the system under which we live with truth and data and good science concerning health. But we're facing so many barriers from every direction. It's a shock. And it's enough to make you sort of black-pilled or dark or cynical. I'm resisting that. And the reason I am is that I just assume that the more progress we make, the more desperate the opposition is going to get. And that's what I see this court decision in Massachusetts. This is an act of desperation. They probably did not want to use these blunt instruments and these smears of scientists that are in this court decision. But this is all they really have left. The beast gets angrier as it sees itself being threatened. And I think that's the moment we're in. This is not any time to lighten up. This is the time for more transparency, more truth, and more moral courage above all else. Like, don't lose heart. Just keep going and tell the truth. That's my principle.
And then everyone should go to brownstone.org and keep up and follow Jeffrey Tucker on X. And good luck wherever you're off to now. And I really appreciate you spending a little time with us.
Thanks for tolerating my strange situation here today, and I appreciate being on. And let's get together when I get back in my studio, okay?
100%.
Okay, all the best.
Jeffrey Tucker, everybody. Coming up next, Gino Young and Vaxx Tunkel. They are activists in Chicago. I saw Vaxx in a video where he was facing down the mayor in a city council meeting. And I thought, I think we need to talk to that guy. He's on to something. And they will join us. And then after Gino and Vaxx, we have Autumn Smith in studio. She, of course, is co-founder of Paleo Valley, to give us thoughts on some new ideas and products. And first, we will be speaking with Gino and Vaxx after this. I've spent most of my career dealing with illnesses that shorten life, and now we have ways to extend it and extend wellness. I've been working with the team over at V-Shred to develop a product that has everything I want in a longevity supplement. NR Boost has nicotinamide riboside. Metal can rust. Well, your body behaves in a similar way. It's mediated through something called NAD. NAD falls as we age, so we're less able to fight off that oxidative process. We oxidize much like that metal. And NAD fights it, but nicotinamide riboside elevates NAD so we can push back on those oxidative stressors, improving health, improving longevity. The other product is Senosync, has fisetin, one of the key molecules to fight off zombie cells, and we've added resveratrol to that, which is a well-known anti-aging antioxidant again. I don't like supplements that have a ton of ingredients. To me, it suggests that none of it's working. When I prescribe a medication, I prescribe that medicine because I expect that to work. That is exactly what I've done with these products. And I want you to go to drdrew.com/vshredmd for 10% off. Again, that is drdrew.com/vshredmd. What's going on with your retirement savings? This should concern all of us. Inflation is not some abstract notion. It quietly erodes purchasing power over time.
Central banks have been buying more gold for the last 4 years than they have in the history. And there's a reason for that. We have a love affair with the dollar and with paper currencies. And most people are just in paper. We're attached. And you know how relationships are. What do you say to a patient when they're locked in a relationship with someone who's obviously doesn't have their best interests at heart, but they stay with it?
Denial. And that's why we suggest Augusta Precious Metals. Their entire approach is very different. There's no pressure. They just give you education and information. Augusta explains how gold or silver IRAs work and how physical metals could fit into your retirement account without tax consequences. And they've operated for over a decade with thousands of clients. They put together a free guide that walks you through everything. It's available now at drdrew.com/gold. You'll get the same educational materials that Augusta gave to Susan and myself. So if inflation worries you, Augusta is a great place to start. Go to drdrew.com/gold. That is drdrew.com/GOLD, or just text the word Drew to the number 35052. That's 35052 to get that free guide now.
You know, if you want to see stars, you have to watch them dance, dive, or go to rehab with Dr. Drew.
Dr. Pinsky told me that you are having some issues.
He says I'm depressed.
Are you?
Dr. Drew.
And it's so funny. Yeah, a reminder that I am a big fan of nicotinamide riboside, which I put in the NR boost, and increasingly good evidence that PQQ is an important part of the story. And I wisely put that in there as well in dosing that I think is spot on. So if we also made an affordable product. So
Can
in terms
you
of
explain that, Drew? Like, what's a PQQ?
you know, these are all things that enhance NAD. NAD is essentially how the mitochondria transfer electrons and hydrogen ions. They're ultimately sending hydrogen ions out outside the cells so they can flow in, and they create phosphate bonds by doing that energy transfer of the hydrogen moving down. I have to get a diagram out to explain it. But there are several things. But NAD, the important thing is NAD reduces as we age, and that exposes us to more oxidative stress.
But how does the Cinesync work with that?
Cinesync is resveratrol, which also is a weaker, but it's also is an important in this pathway. And then phycin is a separate thing. It's to reduce inflammation. So these are things that I think of as very important supplements for sustaining health and for longevity.
And you put it all together.
I put it all together.
Yes.
So we take them and you take them. So it's important.
I do.
All right. Gino Young is a conservative author. He's south side of Chicago, musician, educator, social commentator, author of Sex, Drugs, and Illiteracy, The Death of Education in America. And Vashon Tunkel is a Chicago YouTube conservative activist based in Chicago, appears in many different viral video moments. You can follow Gino on Instagram, official Gino Young, Geno, and X, Gino for America. And the Vashon is, on his X is TURNCHI red, turnkey means CHI, turn-chi red, and also on YouTube at the Chicago Conservative. Gentlemen, thank you and welcome to the program.
Thanks for having us, Doctor. Thank you for having me.
Am I getting that right? Is it turn? Is that a play? Is that a play on chi? Turn chi?
No, it's pronounced shy. Like it's short for Chicago. That's what we call it in Chicago. But
oh, I see. I thought you were making a play on turnkey, and we are going to get some turn chi going.
It sounds nice. It sounds nice. Oh Lord.
So explain to me, I guess it was Vashon, where I saw you in that viral video. It was all over X when you were quite reasonably addressing the city council. And I'm wondering what the response was to it all.
I got, it was pretty much positive feedback. I have a couple people who didn't like what I had to say, but majority of them were fairly liberal. So who cares? But there was a lot of positive feedback in regards to what I said about Brandon Johnson, because his leadership is just absolutely terrible. When it comes to things that need to be prioritized in the city of Chicago, like crime, homelessness, when it comes to children's education, he just absolutely fails in it every single time. And when people like me come out and speak out about it, he just basically ignores us. Even the aldermen there, the 50 aldermen, they ignore us. They basically just don't care, guys. So I tell people all the time to put the power into the people's hands, because we are the ones that vote for these people. And I tell them to stop voting blue, because in my opinion, me being alive my entire life, the Democratic Party has never prioritized the people, especially, and I'm not trying to play favoritism or anything here, but, you know, when it comes to people who live in impoverished neighborhoods and things like that, the Democrats tend to come to these people and they say, we're going to give you free this and free that, which in my opinion, ultimately leads people in a, basically just in a ultimate loop when it comes to being dependent on the government, which I do not want at all. And what started the whole city council thing was he was trying to raise property taxes by $300 million, which he promised that he wouldn't do. So we had a few people like me, Zoe Lee, Danielle Carter. I believe you guys have seen them. They're a part of Chicago Flips Red. And then that got shut down. And then after that, they tried to do it for another 150 million. And then that got shut down as well. And then they just kept going, and then they kept going. And then it eventually led to a $40 million credit line, which even I asked Brandon Johnson, how are we going to pay that money back? Because the key word is credit. So it's just a lot of stuff going on. And I don't want to, you know, take up all the time, but when it comes to the budget in Chicago, it's just absolutely disgraceful that on paper it says that, you know, we're $1.2 billion in debt, but watchdogs have recently found out that Chicago is actually $41.1 billion in debt. So we would love to know where all of that money is going. I even addressed that to him at City Hall as well. And all he can talk about is Trump. Oh, Donald Trump is this and Donald Trump is that. And it's just absolutely disgraceful how all this guy, him and J.B. Pritzker, can do is talk about Donald Trump. Now, I get it. We're not getting federal funding, but Donald Trump is afraid that you're going to fund illegal migrants. In my opinion, that's the only reason why we're not getting federal funding. So it's just a lot. But yeah.
Yeah. And Gino, tell me how you and Vashawn fit together, and give me your thoughts on why the mayor is doing such a, what is, does he just not understand basic accounting? I mean, what is the problem with the mayor?
Well, he's absolutely disgraceful is the issue. When I think about it, you know, we all talked about and we sort of laughed at Lori Lightfoot because she was a joke. And we would all say that you can't get any worse than Lori Lightfoot. I remember back in the day, Tucker Carlson, when he was on Fox News, he used to always say that that was the worst mayor in America. And unfortunately, Brandon Johnson has taken that mantle and he's run with it. But when we look at these two individuals, they're really just people in suits, really. The Democrat establishment of the DNC, they select who they want to run Chicago, and they act in lockstep. So whether it's Brandon Johnson, or whether it was Rahm Emanuel, or whether it was Lori Lightfoot, we always end up with the worst possible representation. So as Vashawn alluded to, it comes down to the people. The people need to be informed, and they need to understand that voting in lockstep with the Democratic Party since 1931 in Chicago, that's just how long they've been in charge, since 1931. Okay, my great-grandmother was 9, and she lived to be almost 100. So we need to understand that these people, they are not prioritizing our communities. They do not have our best interests at heart, and that they want to create a boogeyman out of Donald Trump, or President Trump, excuse me, and they want to create a boogeyman out of ICE. But the issue is President Trump is not a problem in Chicago. President Trump or ICE, they're not the issue here. Republicans don't control anything in Illinois. The problem are these Democrat politicians who blow into our towns every 2 and 4 years talking about change that never comes. And I actually ran for Congress back in 2022. I was the youngest federal candidate anywhere on the ballot nationwide, and I was the youngest candidate anywhere in Illinois. And when I ran for Congress, my mantra was, for 86 years, we've had Democratic representation right here in the 1st Congressional District. And what has it gotten you? And I always sort of tied that back to President Trump when he ran, and he said to the Black community specifically, what do you have to lose? You go to the worst schools, and you have the worst education, you have the worst roads, you have the worst neighborhoods. And a lot of people were put off by that statement, but when you think about it, all that the Democratic Party breeds is destruction. And I saw that firsthand when I went into the public school system, and that's what led me to write my book. I saw it firsthand. All that they breed is destruction and chaos. and now our children are suffering for it. And you have a CTU president, Stacey Davis Gates, running around quoting radical socialist James Baldwin, saying that the children of Chicago are all of our children. All the children belong to the CTU, yet her own children don't even go to Chicago public schools. Now, how is it that you are the head of Chicago Public Schools or Chicago Teachers Union, and you won't even send your own darn children to the schools that you run? Now, what type of clown is that? But that's the type of leadership, if so-called, you want to call it that we have here in Chicago. It's disgraceful, and it's why we are one of the most moved out of states nationwide.
Sounds like you're following the California plan. I mean, we have a governor that has similar sort of relationship with schools, closes them down, and sends his kids to private schools so they can continue their education. Yeah, it's really wild. And I want to ask, I'll start with Gino first. It seemed like Chicago was really coming on the late 90s and early 2000s. And I didn't realize it's been democratically run ever, the whole way. But somebody must have been doing something right. I mean, what I'm trying to get my head around, it may not be a Democrat-Republic thing. It may be more something else, some ideology, some capture that's happened in your city, because it was coming on, and then ba-boom. And Lori Lightfoot was when the floor fell out.
Absolutely, Doctor. So one of the things, and I get into this early on in my book, it's about the demographics of Chicago. When you look at the late 90s, you had a police force that was being supported by the mayor that we had at that time. My father actually worked as a Chicago Police Department officer. And before that, he was in CHA, which was the Chicago Housing Authority, which handled the really infamous projects, which were Cabrini Green, Robert Taylor Homes, Altgeld Gardens. So he really was on the front lines. And he always tells the story about how his first night on the job, they sent him out there with a pistol and a couple of clips and said, "Y'all be safe." That was their exact words, "Y'all be safe," and put them up under the bridge right there at Robert Taylor Homes, which was one of the most infamous housing projects anywhere in the country, frankly. So when you look at it, you had a concentration of crime, but it was in those specific areas, whether it was the projects or certain neighborhoods. But as soon as they disbanded those projects, they ended up displacing all those people and shipping them all across the south suburbs of Chicago and all across the city. So we began to see a demographic shift. Even in my neighborhood, which is actually still a pretty nice neighborhood to live in, you're starting to see different elements creep in that weren't here prior. And the school systems have taken bear the brunt of that in the greatest regard, because I could tell you the children that I was dealing with out in the south suburbs of Chicago, they were like straight up project kids. They were like anything that you would have seen, in the projects in the 1990s, because their parents were those people. So that's why I was receiving death threats. I received a death threat when I worked at Hillcrest High School in Country Club Hills, Illinois. And that's why I no longer work there, because after I received the death threat from the girl, which I took seriously, by the way, because 2 people have been murdered there in the last couple of years on the school grounds. One was a student, one was a parent. I took that death threat very seriously, and they ended up getting upset with me, not so much because of the death threat, but because the girl that did it wanted to say that I said something to her and that was inappropriate, like I cursed her out or something. So instead of them dealing with the child that was out of control, they just decided to tell me, well, you don't have to come back here anymore, and we don't need you. But I said all that to say the demographic change in Chicago that you see really is based on the fact that we have taken crime that was once concentrated in one area and just sort of broadened it out across the entire Chicagoland area.
Bashan, your thoughts?
I would have to agree with Gino, but I think it's a little bit deeper than that. I believe Dr. Drew brought this up earlier about the progressive ideologies. Me personally, I think it started under the Obama administration when he got elected, because I believe he brought back race into the equation, bringing back racism, bringing back victimhood when it comes to the neighborhoods, especially the ones in the Black community. And when we brought that back, I mean, now you have J.B. Pritzker making things like the Safety Act, which isn't safe at all. There's nothing safe about the Safety Act, because it basically allows criminals to be allowed back on the street, if you guys want to look into that. But it's absolutely disgraceful how this act is still existing at this point. And it actually is just one of many things that just caused the absolute downfall of not just Chicago, but all of our beautiful cities like New York, like Los Angeles, like Detroit, and so forth. It's because of the progressive ideologies. It's because, in my opinion, I just believe Barack Obama just brought back something that just really didn't exist. I mean, I'm not going to say that racism never existed in America, but how can you say that America is racist when they voted for you twice? You being a black man in America, you shouldn't say that America is racist at all. And when we bring race into the equation, it just brings division. And this is ultimately the problem with Brandon Johnson as well, because he's just a very, very racist man. I caught this out at City Hall as well. He basically just thinks that prioritizing Black Americans in Chicago, like on the West Side and the South Side, he believes that these are the only people that exist in Chicago, and they're not. You have white Americans, you have Italian Americans, you have Polish Americans, like you name it, like all of these people exist. And it just absolutely ruined Chicago. Now, like the CTA is terrible. Over 80% of people are afraid of taking the CTAs, and property taxes are up about 13%. And I believe we discussed this earlier about him not raising property taxes and promising that he wouldn't, and then that he would actually shut down businesses in Chicago. I believe there was one business on the Riverwalk that was bringing in millions of dollars in revenue, by the way, a year. So I don't know why he would do that, but he shut the place down and replaced it with a Black-owned business that eventually just got closed down eventually. So he just basically prioritizes Black America in Chicago. And it's honestly just not fair. It's not fair at all. And he don't hold the parents accountable when it comes to things like teen takeover. These young kids, they don't all, yes, they do, want to have fun and things like that, but all of them aren't just trying to have fun. Some of them want to cause havoc out there in Chicago. They're, breaking in business like Rolex and Louis Vuitton. And this is ultimately why McDonald's left, is because the homelessness and the crime in Chicago is just too much. And me personally, I believe one of the aldermen, Ray Lopez, he brought this up in one of the committee meetings, is that we should hold the parents accountable when it comes to their children doing heinous acts outside of their time limit, or, when it comes to the curfew. I think this ultimately needs to happen. But when we bring these ideas to Brandon Johnson, he just basically shoved them away. And I would actually encourage Chicago to vote red, because today is actually not election day, but it's voting day for the primaries in Chicago. So I would actually encourage people to vote red down the ballot, because we definitely need conservative Republican values in Chicago. Like Gino said, it hasn't been a Republican mayor since 1927 through 1931, I believe. So that's nearly a century. So there's nothing wrong with voting differently. We don't have to abide by the Democratic machine for almost 100 years in Chicago. And we just need things to be fixed. Like homelessness is rapid. Almost 8,000 people are reportedly homeless in 2025. And that's just in 2025. And that's not even including illegal migrants that Brandon Johnson just loved to
we could
fund,
only have just 10,000. If we could only have just 10,000 in California and Los Angeles, we're in the 100,000 range. But gentlemen, I've got to move to the next topic. I appreciate your efforts. My father was from Chicago. My grandparents live in Chicago after immigrating from Eastern Europe. It's a great city with a marvelous history, and it's worth fighting for. So I wish you the best. I hope we'll check in with you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us, Doctor.
Thank you, gentlemen. Cheers. Follow those guys on X, and you won't be disappointed. They give you Vashon is turn CHI, turn Chicago red, CHI red, and then Gino is Instagram at official Gino Young. So we're going to take a little break, and then we're going to bring Dr. Autumn Smith in here. She, of course, is the co-founder of Paleo Valley. She's got a lot of interesting ideas, and we got time with her right here in the studio, live in person. So it's going to be very exciting. And we'll be back right after this. More of our audience is taking health and wellness into their own hands, and they're doing it with The Wellness Company. For a discount on the best-selling products and everything on their website, for that matter, go to drdrew.com/TWC. The medical emergency kits are among the most popular items. There are 8 different kits, each depending on your individual needs. Inside, you'll find antibiotics, antivirals, antiparasitics, first aid, anti-nauseal, skin treatments, and a kids kit with EpiPen and one for travel. The advantage to having an emergency kit in the house is immediacy. You don't have to run to the urgent care and spend a ton of money for all that infrastructure or wait for the pharmacy to open or try to find a doctor. And then there's Ultimate Spike Detox Supplement with nattokinase, turmeric, and bromelain. It has helped the vaccine injured. And anyone who is concerned about cardiovascular issues caused by lingering spike from the virus or the shot, the Ultimate Spike Detox is for you. One of TWC's top sellers is a topical ivermectin cream. It treats inflammation of the skin, issues like rosacea. The wellness company is always innovating. So go to drdrew.com/TWC to see what they have to offer and get a 10% discount there.
Hey, Dr. Drew here, and we are interested in health and longevity, and the longevity nutrient is Fatty 15, discovered amazingly by a veterinarian who was responsible for the Navy's fleet of dolphins. Turns out dolphins are healthier when they have adequate amounts of pentadecanoic acid, which is C15. It also, for us, it helps humans as well, reduces the oxidative stress on our cell membranes, which is part of the aging process called ferroptosis. So she takes it, I take it, whole family takes it. And if you'd like some, go to drdrew.com/fatty15 for yours. There are discounts there.
Oh my God, look, Drew, it's a dolphin. Oh my gosh.
Hey, Dr. Drew here, and even when we travel, we bring the new convenient fatty gummies. They're delicious, and they are portable, and they're great. And remember, this is a longevity ingredient. It fights against the oxidative stress on our cell membranes. We call that process ferroptosis, discovered in dolphin research by Dr. Van Watson. And I'm taking this every day, even when I travel. It's Fatty 15. Something our audience knows well is that what's good for our health can also be good for the environment. Paleo Valley makes snacks, drinks, oils, and more that are nutrient-dense, delicious, and impeccably sourced. Co-founder Autumn Smith champions regenerative farming. It's a level beyond organic.
When you go to the grocery store, 90% of the animal products you're going to buy are from factory farms. And we obviously know factory farms work against nature. They work against animal health and in many ways against human health. Regenerative farms work on taking the landscape or the ecosystem from a degraded state, which the environment right now needs a lot of rehabilitation, and we have lower nutrient levels in our soil than ever before. We found that animal products from regenerative systems have nutritional benefits above and beyond other types of animal products.
Paleo Valley's beef sticks and bone broth protein powder are my favorites, and they come from regenerative farms. And the sticks also come in pasture-raised chicken as well.
We actually just went and visited one of our chicken farmers, and we work with a lot of co-ops and people all over the country.
We are such fans of Autumn, her work, and her extraordinary small business. Go to drdrew.com/Paleo Valley for a 15% discount on your first order, or get 20% off when you subscribe. Speaking of Autumn, glycine's role in longevity, your brain on omega-3 fatty acids. What do these things have in common? We're going to get into that when I speak to Autumn in just a few seconds. So she's actually here with us in the studio. She's the co-founder. And in the past, Autumn and I have discussed how vital regenerative farming is to our health and the health of our environment. But that's getting the illusion of choice at the supermarket. As for glycine, which you'll find in copious quantities, Paleo Valley's grass-fed and finished beef, bone broth protein powder. We'll explain this in a minute, and it's in contribution to metabolic health and longevity, my personal favorites. Relations, Paleo Valley, one of the family of our sponsors. You can go to, maybe not. Forget it. Let's bring Autumn Smith in right now. And I want to speak, I was anxious to talk about the new bone broth. That's why I was getting distracted. This is the sleep protein bone broth. Welcome, by the way.
Thank you, Dr. Drew. Always a pleasure.
Tell me about this product.
Okay. So, as you were talking about, glycine is an amino acid.
Yeah.
Very underrated.
Yeah.
Been kind of pushed aside in our modern diet.
Well, and not only that, it's a precursor of glutathione, right?
It is.
Is that what you're aiming at?
Well, kind of, because some of the trials show that glycine plus cysteine, reverse several hallmarks of aging.
Yes.
But also glycine. There's new research with this researcher, Dr. Joel Brind. He wrote a book called The Glycine Miracle. And what he's found is that glycine acts as a trigger lock on our macrophages. So macrophages, first responders, they can have two modes. They can kind of shoot things up or they can kind of clean things up. And so when you have enough glycine around, which is more than you'd need to build your structural proteins, you actually keep those macrophages silent through a glycine-gated chloride channel.
So it's an anti-inflammatory.
Essentially, yeah. But it allows the proper level of inflammation.
Yeah.
Like if you get an infection, it's not going to shut it off.
Yeah.
It's just going to make sure inappropriate inflammation doesn't happen. And so that's why I think broth, glycine, really awesome idea to bring back. And glycine has also been shown to drop the body temperature, it's kind of an inhibitory neurotransmitter. And so it was the perfect basis for a sleep formula, right? Like a very naturally minded sleep formula.
So I'm surrounded by bone broth right now. Now, you also have a new whey protein. And how is that? Must be glycine in there too.
There's probably, but not like sleep protein. Glycine is the third amino acid in collagen.
Yeah.
So it would be in far smaller quantities. In whey. Yeah.
Who needs the whey protein as opposed to the bone broth?
I love that question. People who are looking to build muscle, right? Whey protein. It also has great immune.
It's caloric though, isn't it? Whey protein, it's
not
a little bit.
Super caloric. No. Yeah. It's not, it actually has, 90, 100, around 100 calories, but it's going to be great for building muscle and also gut health. And also because it has immunoglobulins that support immune function.
You also put digestive enzymes in here.
Yes.
And colostrum.
Exactly. Colostrum is what they used to use before antibiotics.
Yep.
It's liquid gold so we combine colostrum.
These are great products.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we try to do.
I'm going to have to tell people what to choose, how to choose what they need, And so I just got this one today and I'm dying. I'll use it tonight. I guarantee it. And it has chamomile, reishi, melatonin, and bone broth.
Yeah, and the melatonin is a phytomelatonin derived from tomato.
Oh, interesting.
It's very interesting, yeah. So it's not a synthetic version.
What makes that different other than it's not synthetic?
Other than the sourcing. Yeah. And then it will have small levels of phytonutrients in it, lycopene and GABA, for example. And the dose is much lower. It's like 1 milligram.
I saw that it was 1 milligram. And people don't understand they only need like 1 milligram.
Yeah, we naturally produce like 0.5 to 3 milligrams. And so to megadose isn't always great for your hormonal health because it is a hormone.
We don't really know what we're doing when you get up to 5, 10 milligrams. We don't really understand it.
I agree, because circadian rhythm is set and
who knows what it might be unlocking. We just don't know yet. And there's so many things we use in a widespread way that we're just like, 1 milligram is probably enough. Yeah. But we use 5 because I don't know. I don't even know. I think people are trying to get more than 5 hours out of it. And they'll use the long acting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So is any longer acting than the phyto component, longer than the regular?
No, I think we just opt for what would be a normal physiological dose. And then we support sleep in other aspects like the chamomile is going to calm the mind. The reishi is going to help balance the stress response, the magnesium, so we just supported several aspects and put a lower dose that is like comparable to what your body would naturally produce.
What's up with the company? Everything going well?
Everything's going beautifully.
Yeah. Tell people the story again, how it got started and what happened. And
basically, I had irritable bowel syndrome for 10 years and mental health issues. You were one of my heroes. And I didn't see any solutions in the conventional medical system. And so when I changed my diet at my husband's suggestion back in 2007, my IBS was resolved in 30 days. And then over the course of the next year, I learned a few other levers I could pull to improve my mental health on my own. And I feel like I had a complete transformation. And so when I went on tour with J-Lo, back in 2012.
I didn't know this part of the story.
Oh, you didn't know? Yeah.
What was that all about?
I was a Tracy Anderson trainer. And right before I left for tour, I had kind of reclaimed my health and my gut was going well. And then I went on that tour for 7 months and I didn't have staples. I didn't have the products that I could rely on. I didn't have control over my life or environment.
And sleep times and stuff.
And my health backslid. And so when I got back to the United States, my husband and I decided we were going to create the products that people could take with them just to have a gut healthy lifestyle, no matter where they were.
And you went into nutrition science training at that point, right?
I did. Yeah. When I was on tour, I knew I had to go in a new direction slightly because food had done something for my health that exercise didn't on its own, at least. Yeah. So I went and got my master's, became a psychology of eating certified coach. And then I went and got my dissertation. I finished my doctorate like 2 years ago.
Do you, as from the position of your academic training, This is off topic, but I've been worried about this lately. And I'm just curious on your thoughts. GLP-1s and the way people are overusing them or misusing them or too much using them or whatever it is. I don't know what to make of it yet. Your thoughts. I don't want to bias it too much.
Oh, goodness. It's such a nuanced topic, right? I think there could be people that may benefit if they've tried a lot of other things.
There's no such thing as a bad molecule. It's just how we use these things where it gets bad. Yeah.
Yeah. I think when we skip to them, instead of doing the lifestyle, changing the diet and exercising, I think we're doing ourselves a disservice because they're obviously going to have repercussions potentially that I think are starting to appear.
We're worried about the muscle loss. Sarcopenia, people are not paying enough attention to it.
Yeah.
They don't understand what happens as you get 70, 80 years of age. They don't get it. And
I've had friends use it too and come back from it and decide not to use it because they were seeing that muscle wasting.
Gallbladder disease, which is when people lose weight. And then I've seen gut necrosis. I've seen really serious reactions and death.
I haven't seen death, but I've seen people whose gut just seems kind of paralyzed.
It gets paralyzed. That's how it works. It works by paralyzing, but it doesn't come back in many cases.
Yeah.
That's when it's atrocious.
Yeah. And I think if we can lean on protein, a natural version of that, and if we can learn to prioritize protein and just nutrition, I think many of us could do it on our own. And I hope that a lot of us do.
So this in the evening, and this in the morning. So chocolate's my jam.
Mine too.
And I'm trying to figure, I saw that you came up with whey and I thought, I don't know. I have another preoccupation on the nutritional front, which is what should a man my age weigh? Ooh. Because people don't talk about that. And so I have trained my whole life, used to be a lot more muscular and have could do that. Now my shoulders are destroyed for various reasons and maintaining muscle mass is a lot different. And so when I lose weight, which I can do, I know how to do that. I can do it no problem. I start to look and feel feeble.
Yeah,
it's a really interesting thing. Nobody talks about. And the last thing I want to do is put myself in a position where if I'm not able to keep pushing that sarcopenic cliff back, I'm going to go from feeble to invalid.
Yeah. And it's a very valid concern because muscle is the organ of longevity. And I've interviewed several protein researchers, and what they have for breakfast a lot of times is whey. And whey contains leucine, and there's that leucine threshold that you want to get, I think it's about 2.5 grams per meal in order to, maximally stimulate that muscle protein synthesis.
That's good to know.
So I do think whey is going to be better for building muscle than something like bone broth. Bone broth is going to come in with that recovery. So you're not going to get as inflamed and you're potentially going to recover and sleep better. Also an important part of the equation. But the whey has its own merits.
And it is only 90 calories per scoop, right? You managed to I don't know how you did that.
Yeah.
But
this one doesn't have,
is the scooper this big?
It's not that big, but we also didn't have, it's not like 20 grams of protein per scoop. So there's a little bit less protein. So that's probably why that is.
Fine. Susan, do you have any questions for Autumn? I know we are just big, we eat this stuff all the time. When we travel, oh my God, it saves our life. I've been reaching for the bars a lot.
Yeah.
On the road.
Everybody loves them.
That's one of my faves. Yes.
Yeah.
No, you guys are covering everything. I'm not as professional at this.
You know what? Talk to them a little bit now that you've told your story about regenerative farming and why that's important, because I'm not sure everybody really understands that.
Yeah. So there's basically 3 types of agriculture happening today. There's the conventional sort, which is very extractive. And if you think about it like a business, it would be a business that's operating at a loss.
Yeah.
Right. We're destroying our topsoil. There's antibiotics in our food supply. And on and on. And then there's organic and sustainable. And that's, a business that's operating profitably, but not necessarily growing. So there's still practices within organic agriculture that could be destructive, like tillage. And regenerative, what it is at its heart is it's taking something and making it better. So you take a plot of land, you improve the soil microbiome through feeding exudates and improving the root structure. And then you improve water holding capacity that way. And then you improve nutrient density that way. Yeah. And so it's just, you're measurably impacting the land positively. And that's regenerative.
What I understand, I understand it simplistically, which is that you're getting more nutrient density out of the soil and you're sustaining the soil's potential to create nutrient density.
That's exactly right. Because estimates are murky, but people think we might only have like 60 harvests left before we run out of the ability to produce our own food because we've been losing soil at such an alarming rate.
Aren't they just pouring nitrates in? They're just pouring chemicals in to replace it. That's essentially what they do. Yeah.
But it doesn't replace, because I mean, even in my dissertation, there's 30,000 compounds just in beef. Imagine the complexity underground. There's more life in a teaspoon of soil than, I mean, you just can't recreate that.
And so the question obviously is, why don't more people do regenerative farmings?
I think because people fear that it can't sustain the world, but many of our small scale farms are actually, in fact, feeding the world. And there's just massive consolidation and this push, seed companies, agricultural, chemical companies, they don't want this kind of change. And so I think a lot of it has to come from grassroots, from people paying attention, understanding.
So more efficiency is what they're pushing for at whatever the cost, whatever the...
We're prioritizing efficiency over ecology.
Yeah.
And there is a time you can't do that forever.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying this is our generation's, I think, big movement, I hope, is that we will become closer, more connected to where our food's coming from, because our future literally depends on it.
Well, it's certainly top of mind and being discussed and, sort of every day in the press in a way it's never been before. Yes. I mean, you guys came in right at the exact right time. Yes. But I was thinking to myself, with your products, I don't really need any other snack products around, whenever I reach for anything else, I wonder to myself, why am I doing that? Because it's much more healthy to go with the meat stick or really.
Well, thank you.
And I don't know if it's palate fatigue or something, but if you stayed in this zone, you're really in a good shape in terms of nutrients and calorie content and protein content.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And where do you believe you're expanding in the future? Yeah. Can you talk about that yet?
Oh, yeah. So we have some bone broth protein coffees coming out. We just launched a fish roe product. Yeah. We're actually getting into new types of bars.
But I put my bone broth in my coffee.
I know, which is great. But it's just like it's a less saturated version.
I see.
So you're going to have less.
Is it for the coffee or is it made with the coffee?
It's made with the coffee.
Okay, got it. Okay,
yeah,
good.
So something like that. We have a lot of new flavors coming. We're working on a churro. We have a churro flavor and ready to drink bone broth shakes.
Who thought of that?
Our genius food scientists.
Wow.
They really nailed it. So yeah, we're just going to expand flavors and more meat sticks, obviously.
Different kinds of meat sticks.
Yeah. Our coffee is one of our best sellers. We had no idea when we looked at the data. We were like, okay.
The mushroom coffee.
The mushroom coffee. The low acid, polyphenol dense mushroom coffee. It's one of our best sellers. So we're expanding.
If anybody's buying your coffee, they should be buying these products as well. That's
agreed. I hope they are. Yeah, no, our bone broth is our best seller.
Okay.
So chocolate bone broth is number one. But coffee
that's what I'm talking
is
about.
Close behind.
See, that makes sense to me. That's my number one too.
Yeah, mine too.
And we do use your coffee as well. It's very, very fine, very excellent coffee. The meat sticks for me, I can't take any of the flavorings on anything.
Oh.
Yeah, this is my gut problem as I've aged.
Yep.
I can.
But she does. She loves them.
I can.
So
I eat
talk about
so many
the
of
organ
those.
meat.
No, the organ. The organ, which this is, when I was on carnivore diet, there was a little deficiency for me in this area. Talk to us about why this is important.
Okay, so organ meats are nature's multivitamins, right? In the most bioavailable forms of iron.
Are you doing
and
heart,
zinc.
kidney, liver?
Heart, kidney, and liver, all from grass-fed animals. And so liver, best source of A in its active form, and vitamin B12, iron, and zinc, great sources of that. Heart is great for CoQ10. And kidney has a lot of selenium for thyroid support. But this is essentially a multivitamin your body recognizes and knows how to use readily. And again, one of those foods that we don't consume anymore.
There is do you know Kate Shanahan?
Yes.
Yeah. Kate always says eat more organs of all types and eat more meat close to the bone.
Yes.
There's more nutrients there.
Lysine. And that, exactly. And there's something very invigorating. If you want more energy, it's probably because you're nutrient deficient often. And the iron and B12 and organs.
You take 6 tablets each time, right? We try to surprise them. Like, I took 3. I was like, 6 seems like a lot, but I'm up for 6. Now they've tolerated 3 for a while. Well, what have I missed here? Is there anything up on, sort of anything in the news, anything you guys are pursuing, anything that's controversial in the nutrition space?
So many things that are controversial.
Yeah.
I mean, one other product that I think your audience could love is we have a new fish roe product coming.
Oh,
yeah. And 75% of the world is deficient in omega-3 fatty acids. Very important for the health of the brain. But many fatty acid supplements are very low quality, or they don't have the forms that necessarily are able to get into the brain.
It's mostly DHA.
Yes, DHA and the phospholipid form. It's found in DHA. There's like a special transporter, that is lyso-DHA, it's called, can get preferential access into the brain. And so
if the fish roe is a pill?
Yeah.
A pill.
It's taken from herring. Herring is a very rich source of omega-3 fatty acids. And then there's some anchovies and mackerel. And so there are a few other nutrients in there too, but also pro-resolving mediators. I don't know if you've talked about these on the show.
No, tell me.
Oh my goodness.
My goodness, yes.
This is a very exciting fight. So many things. So back in the 1990s, Dr. Sirhan found that when omega-3s, DHA and EPA, have grandchildren, there's something called specialized pro-resolving mediators. And they're compounds that resolve inflammation. So they always knew that DHA and EPA were involved with, controlling or modulating inflammation.
They just didn't know how.
They didn't know how. And they found these pro-resolving mediators. And so our formulation also contains pro-resolving mediators.
And these are immune modulators, sort of?
Yeah, they essentially turn off inflammation. So there's a few different kinds. There's like protectins, and there's mycins, and there's one other form that I can't remember right now. But DHA produces a lot of different broader categories. And then EPA also has its own set of categories.
And they're working at the cell surface, I'm imagining.
Yeah. There's different, there's a neuroprotectant that works in the brain and kind of like turning down inflammation in the brain specifically. And then others are allocated to different parts of the body. But
I've noticed that I seem to get something out of DHA more than EPA, but the pro-inflammatory mediators, pro-resolving mediators, it's something I've got to try.
Yeah, you'll have to try it. And it might be something that you already have, but it's definitely, I think, a big part of the equation. I was surprised that you haven't heard of them before, but you should definitely look into that research.
For sure. All right, controversies you were going to tell me?
Ooh, controversies. Well, I think one thing that's important to know is that, the meat market is massively consolidated. 4 companies own 85% of the beef processing. That's a very dangerous, vulnerable position. And I think one of the other things that we need to do is try to decentralize our food supply, try to get reconnected, try to rebuild those local pathways in the food sovereignty. So I think if there's one thing I want to ask is that, we just pay more attention, try to take our power back, because we don't want to be so disconnected from our local food. And we don't want a handful of CEOs in far off countries making decisions that are impacting our communities, because they won't be the same decisions.
No, we local, always better.
Yeah.
Fats. What do you want to tell people about fats?
Ooh, fats. I think this is fascinating. Fats, I'm really kind of into the omega-6 to 3 balance conversation. And that was what my dissertation was on. So I think reducing omega-6s in the form of maybe cooking with a lot of seed oils, maybe re-embracing those ancestral fats, but also increasing omega-3s in measurable ways. And maybe that's even the bigger lever, I think, increasing your omega-3 consumption. More fish roe. Even grass-fed beef, which we found in my dissertation, was a meaningful source, especially when it was raised on botanically diverse pastures. And we eat a lot more beef, which is why, and some people just aren't going to eat fish, right? So I think that's also meaningful.
And the relationship that I was stumbling over this little ad between glycine and omega-3s?
I think the relationship is that they both modulate inflammation different ways, right? Those omega-3s become compounds, prostaglandins, but then glycine actually acts as that trigger lock.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I look forward to my sleep time tonight, sleepy time bone broth tonight.
You have to let me know what you think.
Will it stop him from snoring?
Oh.
Well, we haven't confirmed that, but maybe you can for me,
maybe
Susan.
It'll work. I'll let you know.
I'd love to hear.
Let me just throw some sort of fast questions at you. Intermittent fasting.
Ooh, I do it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of my brain, I'm ApoE44.
Oh, interesting. And fasting seems to protect with that?
Yeah, people with my genotype seem to benefit more from extended periods of fasting.
How long?
I go different times at different parts of my cycle because I'm still a cycling female. So I will do probably like 18 to 20 hour fasts in the first part. And then I hang around 14 to 16 hour fasts.
Interesting. And do you think that the GLP-1s are triggering new kind of body dysmorphia?
Oh, I'm worried about that.
I am too.
I've noticed that the standard has gotten, maybe a little, what looks to be a little less healthy.
We've taken the body positivity movement, now transferred it over to these extremely muscular wasting figures. That's very dangerous, that seems to me.
I agree.
And again, the opposite of what aging, how aging is done properly and well. I'm just looking through controversy, see if I get anything. What else do I want to get on?
Don't even worry.
Yeah, the meat thing I'm worried about. Have you guys ever thought about getting into the meat sort of production? Yeah.
Oh, we are with wild pastures.
Yeah.
So we work with co-ops all around the country.
But you don't actually do you out and select the cows and stuff, or how do you do that?
What we do is, and this is my brother-in-law is a generational farmer from Montana. And so we started with the co-ops, and then where we find most of our farmers now is we provide such a good life for these farmers that they often tell their friends about us.
Got it.
And so really it's kind of word of mouth is how it goes, because right now the amount most ranchers is making is getting smaller, and the profits for these larger corporations just continues to rise.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to give the farmer back what they deserve and the land.
Yeah.
And so, we are in the meat business. It's a very hard business. Beef prices are rising.
People, I know, try to get into
they're
it.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's really tough.
It's so hard.
So if somebody is not yet leaning on Paleo Valley products, where should they start? What do you think where do people
gateway.
Where do the people what's their sort of yummy entry point?
I think it's the chocolate bone broth. It is by far my favorite product. You put it in your coffee, in water, in milk.
It dissolves really well.
It doesn't taste like bones. It tastes like Swiss Miss, from when you were a kid and you'd have hot cocoa.
Yep.
Yeah.
You could throw some marshmallows in there and
and it has benefits, right? You're not going to get any sugar, but you're going to get all the glycine and all the other benefits of collagen. So,
and I would suggest trying the meat sticks. We saw a little commercial I did for you guys, but I was in Vienna, and we were making a point like, would you really want to eat this wurst that they make in Vienna? You don't know what's in here. It's certainly not Regenerative Farms. But I couldn't resist. I took a bite. I took a couple bites because I was like, I'm in Vienna. I'm going to try it. And got sick.
Oh, no.
He said, I don't know what's in this. I wouldn't eat this. This is why I go to the stick.
I had these with me too. And I was like,
and then he couldn't eat dinner. He was sick all day.
Oh, no. Yeah. Keep the meat sticks.
I ate the rest, though. I was fine.
Yes. Be that as it may.
Okay.
All right. Well,
I missed Tester, but I didn't. I let him down that time.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I got to give you particulars on where we should send people on your behalf. Just Dr.com/Paleo Valley is where we want people to go. Let me see if you have, there is. We have also.
I would start with the chocolate bone broth because that's like my favorite. We've eaten a lot of it in this family. I like all the bone broths. I use the unflavored in soup. And I also I like you have that new turmeric one. Do you still have that?
We sure do.
That's good with that has sort of an Asian flavor to it. So you can put it in with your, make a little ramen with that. Yeah. And then the one that you have over there, the salted caramel is very holiday oriented. You could make a hot rum toddy with that or something. I don't know.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
I also,
and you can also add a little bit to the chocolate.
I tell people to be careful before you try your first Paleo Valley beef sticks because you will not be able to eat the ones you get at the grocery store and at the gas station anymore. You just those will taste like trash the moment that you've tried one of these.
Paleo Valley.
Yeah, you can't go back.
Right, and then I like the jalapeno beef. I like the regular beef, and I like the I like the venison a lot lately. Like I've switched over to venison. I don't know why. All of a sudden, that's my favorite flavor. So
it's good. I really like venison too.
Venison's really good.
It's got a good texture to it.
Yeah, I was going to say, the quality of the meat is really like...
Yeah, it like when you bite into it, it's just got a good crunchy... And they're not like Slim Jims. They're like all like, salty and hard and all that. They don't give you a stomach ache. They're more like, they've got good food value.
And they're fermented. That's why.
Yeah, that fermentation I think is a key piece. Caleb, do your kids eat them?
Which ones? Oh, no, I'm not sharing my beef sticks. I'm not sharing my Paleo Valley beef sticks with my kids. I go through these like in a crate box. Because I use it. It's like if I'm gaming, like on the weekends, I do gaming with my wife. Well, I can't grab chips. I can't grab Chex Mix. I go and I grab one of these. It's not greasy. It doesn't make crumbs. It's easy to eat without getting sticky fingers on your keyboard.
He's got Crohn's
I eat it. I have Crohn's disease.
It's good for his
It's
diet.
one of those few quick snacks I can eat that doesn't mess with my stomach, and I can eat it while I'm producing a show easily. No, everyone knows that.
Love that.
I like them in the car and in my go bag. They're nice.
Well, Autumn, thank you for being part of our life. Thank you for creating these products. Thank you for coming all the way over here. I'm always moved when people come into the studio. It's like, this is great.
I mean, this is a healthy conversation. You're a doctor. We should be talking about this stuff. So
yeah, I was, in fact, I've been thinking about this lately. Obviously with the MAHA thing, there's a lot of nutritional talk. And I saw that the daughter or the founder of Walmart founded a medical school in Arkansas that's going to be largely emphasizing nutrition. I thought, God, I'm not sure that's going to do the trick. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like we need products. We need to change our behavior. We need to, even like I said to myself, I'm like, what's going on? Why am I not always reaching for these for snacks? It just doesn't make sense otherwise. I guess I throw a little peanuts and legumes in. Yeah, that's my guilty pleasure, but that will take me down another path sometimes. So we have to manage our own behavior too.
We really do. And I did see that I think 50 different medical schools committed to 40 hours of nutritional education in their training. And that's a start, like you said.
It's good. I mean, it's at least gives us a frame. And if somebody's interested in it, they can go further downstream. And there's obviously all kinds of information online now. Did we leave anything out in terms of important topics? I'm looking.
So, do you have any BOGO specials going on?
Oh.
No.
We usually have the bone broth BOGO special, but I would still direct them to you guys.
Yeah.
You guys are going to have the best deals.
Too.
Yeah.
On it. But they have specials occasionally that you might see Drew talking about that. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, Caleb, let's throw up what's coming up the rest of the week and next week. Autumn, thank you for being here. It's really a pleasure.
Likewise.
And don't forget Paleo Valley. We have discounts there, dr.com/Paleo Valley. Eric Bolling in here tomorrow. Walter Kern, screenwriter. It'd be very fun to talk to him. Charlie Powell, Stuart Brotman. Let's, you know them?
Dr. Wentz.
Dr. Wentz coming in, that's right. And if you go further into April, I got a list. I was like, oh my God, there's so many people coming in here.
We're revving up April.
April's has a lot of big names. I'll list some of them because it's so many guests that we can't even fit it on this screen. So April 7th, Patricia Heaton. April 8th, Dr. Kelly Victory. April 9th, Brianna Wu. April 14th, Nick Freitas. And then you have April 15th, Dr. Ryan Cole. April 22nd, Del Bigtree. And April 23rd, Salty Cracker.
Salty Cracker back. You sound like you're feeling better. The Tamiflu's working.
It's working. It's working. I'm 3 days into having flu B and got Tamiflu yesterday. I've done 3 doses and I'm feeling so much improvement already. At least it feels like it's plateaued yesterday and it's heading down. Normally, without Tamiflu, this would be a 7-day ordeal. And it doesn't work quite as well for influenza B as A. And A was running around here. Our whole family got taken out by it.
I didn't get it. And Paleo Valley keeps me from getting sick. I was my sick granddaughter all weekend. I still don't have it. So I don't know, I'm doing something right here.
I need a gene transfer from you, Susan. Some sort. It's like I get everything.
I know. She was coughing on me and sneezing.
So frustrating. Okay, Caleb, anything else on your hit parade?
Nope, all good. I'm excited for these upcoming shows. Tomorrow, Eric Bolling, James Rosen, and John Strand.
Also, thank you, Emily Barsh, for your hard work on the show today and all the upcoming guests.
And we will see you all at 4:00 tomorrow. Who is the guest again? I'm sorry, I screwed it up already.
Eric Bolling, James Rosen.
No, he's the next
John
day.
Strand.
Eric.
Oh, sorry.
James Rosen.
My bad.
There you go. We'll see you then at 4:00. Ask Dr. Drew is produced by Caleb Nation and Susan Pinsky. Emily Barsh is our content producer. As a reminder, the discussions here are not a substitute for medical care, diagnosis, or treatment. This show is intended for educational and informational purposes only. I am a licensed physician, but I am not a replacement for your personal doctor, and I am not practicing medicine here. Always remember that our understanding of medicine and science is constantly evolving. Though my opinion is based on the information that is available to me today, some of the contents of this show could be outdated in the future. Be sure to check with trusted resources in case any of the information has been updated since this was published. If you or someone you know is in immediate danger, don't call me, call 911. If you're feeling hopeless or suicidal, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255. You can find more of my recommended organizations and helpful resources at drdrew.com/help.